In this episode, we find out if you can fix your car's bumper sag using only a pull toy. Unfortunately, this won't help with any human sag, so if you're hoping to look good at your next pool party, you've clearly come to the wrong place. Hope you enjoy. Hey there guys, and welcome to Browney's Garage. As mentioned up top there, we'll be trying to fix or improve this bumper sag on this car using only a $3 pool noodle that you can pick up from a load of different places. And of course, if you can color code it to your car, this will work even better and maybe even give you some horsepower gains. So, if you're not familiar with what bumper sag is, let's demonstrate on this car. This is my BA XR6 Falcon, and this sort of thing is super common on this and similar era Falcons. There's a good chance this method will transfer over to other cars as well. The issue starts on these cars because there's very little support behind the center section of this bumper, and over time and with driving, that becomes even less effective. The result is that anywhere the bumper meets the body, such as under the headlights, and between the grille and the bonnet, as this grille is part of the bumper on this car, that gap will open up and become more and more obvious. You can see that more clearly when I lift this bumper. Those gaps will close up, and that's probably closer to where we'd like it. Now, I know this issue wouldn't bother some people, and this isn't by far the worst example I've seen, so I probably wouldn't bother pulling off the bumper just to do this. However, we are taking this bumper off anyway to do a transmission cooler install, so while we're in there, we're going to give this a shot. Let's get to work, starting by removing this bumper. On this car, the guard behind the grille will need to come off. Easy enough with only 4 trim screws or scrivets holding it on. You can then access the 2 bolts, one in each corner behind this trim. You'll also have some scrivets and screws to remove from each wheel well for the splash guard panel. Just remove the ones that actually go into the bumper. All of this may be possible with the car on the ground and wheels still on, but it will be a lot easier without them. There'll then be some 7mm bolts that hold on the plastic under tray that is connected under your bumper. How many bolts are here will depend on how hard a life the car has had, and it's not unusual for the under tray to have been completely thrown away. Don't be that guy. Go ahead and disconnect your fog light wiring while you're under there if you have them. Lastly, there should be a clip at each back corner of the bumper that you simply pull the bumper away from, and your bumper should be ready to come off. Front bumper's off, and this is where your pull noodle will come in. So we're going to be using this to actually help and pad out this crash support to give that extra support to the bumper. There is some foam from the factory on the underside of the bumper that I believe contacts this, but we're going to be supplementing that with your pull noodle. So cut it to the size you want with scissors or something sharp, and then also cut it along the middle lengthwise. That'll allow it to slip over and give that extra padding. Now, I did have the whole length here of the crash bar fitted, but I found that was actually too effective. It was pushing it up too high and I was having troubles fitting it properly. So you could shave this down a little bit, but what I found to work quite well is to actually make 2 much smaller sections that will sit on towards the ends. That's because the middle of that bumper support, the foam that's already in there, actually curves down a bit. So you find yourself pushing it up too high in the middle and not enough at the sides perhaps. So I'll just leave those on the sides. I've also trimmed them at the front so that they don't interfere with the front of that foam. Cable tie it up and we'll be ready to fit our bumper back on. Hopefully your car will be looking like it's a little bit newer. Let's see how that goes. And there it is, probably the cheapest facelift you'll ever see. Wonder if I can claim that I'm a surgeon now on my resume. Everyone lies on those anyway, right? Now that pool noodle, it is hidden behind here, you'll never see that, but the gaps have closed up quite a lot. So the gap below that headlight and particularly your grille to the bonnet, that gap has closed up a lot. So I'm really happy with that. For really minimal investment, it's not cost us a great deal at all. $3 as I said for the pool noodle. Hope you've enjoyed that little hack. If you have, please consider liking and subscribing and maybe share it with your saggy friend. Maybe it would help them a little bit too. And as always guys, thanks for watching. Cheers.